Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from the Fairgrounds Racecourse here on Saturday. It is the 18th of February 2023. Gonna look at the stakes races on the program from the Fairgrounds, but before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and I mean it around the world. Let's get to the stakes action. We have a lot of races to get to, races 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, and the featured 13th race, which is the Risen Star. Let's get to it right now, starting off with the sixth race from the Fairgrounds, which is the Albert M. Stahl Memorial. It's going for a purse of $100,000. Races for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 11 horses entered, but only 8 could go to the Stahl Wilson turf course. The distance of ground of about 1,700 meters, or the distance of ground of about 1 mile and 1/16 on the turf course. Rails are at 34 feet, which is the true, which is basically the standard for this meeting so far at the Fairgrounds, because the inside is basically destroyed. And this will be the first. This is the first stakes race I've handicapped, or not stakes race, first turf race I handicapped for the Fairgrounds. On the side, I've been looking at some of the dirt races. I don't think I've looked at any for YouTube, but the turf racing, I just been watching, and some of these turf races have been running weird. So good luck with these. My top selection, I'm going to go with the 6-horse Soft Touch. I'm going to go 6-3-4-2 in the superfecta. 6-3-4-2 Super, top selection 6-horse Soft Touch, 4-year-old filly by Uncle Mo. Michael Stidham trains. Mitchell Morrill gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 13th of January here at the Fairgrounds, about a mile 16th on the lawn, an option 50 claimer, and he finished second by a neck. Very pedestrian fractions that day. He just couldn't keep up late. The winner Trail Ridge Road had the jump on him late, but he ran his heart out. Slowing it down again here today, second back to turf. I think he get a good trip, and I think he could win. Two back at Turfway the 8th of December, mile 16th allowance race 68,000. He finished third by 2.5 lengths that day, and he just kind of plodded along, never weakened out of it, but never quickened up either. First off, a little bit refreshing, probably need the race there. 60 days prior, he ran a Keeneland, a mile and a half on the lawn, and allowance race 90,000. He finished 10th by 12.5 lengths that day. Very wide poster. He left out of the gate, but then he just completely hit the wall. I do think the mile and a half got to him, but before that, 6th of September at Colonial, mile 3/16th on the outer turf course in option 25. First time facing winners, winning by a length from a tracking position. He won quite nicely. Refreshing here, second off the bench at 6-1. I think he's loaded. I think the 3-horse Lake Lucerne is your second likeliest winner for Tyler Gaffleone and Brendan Walsh. Most recently, the Mary Krantz Memorial hit the Fairgrounds on the 21st of January. He finished second by a half a length, a little bit wide, but was gaining late. I didn't think it was a half bad race. Before that, at the Fairgrounds on the 26th of December in an overnight stakes, he finished third by 3/4 length. Again, a little bit wide, but he was closing up well late. And then in the Cardinal handicap at Church over the mile and 1/8, he finished fifth by 7 lengths. Never really getting a comfortable trip. Hasn't won in quite a while, but she's been facing some very tough horses the last year and a half. Refreshing here, not the world's toughest race. I'm going to give her a shot at 3-1 in the pick 3. But to recount my selection for the 6 from the Fairgrounds, it's the Albert M. Stahl Memorial. Let's take the 6-horse Soft Touch. Give kudos to the 3-horse Lake Lucerne. 6-3-4-2 Super. 6-3 in your multi-race. To the 9th event, back to the Stahl Wilson turf course again. The 9th race from the Fairgrounds, it's the Colonel Power Stakes. It's going for a $100,000 purse, race for 4-year-olds and upwards. We have a field here of, again, 14 horses entered, but only 8 could go, about 1,100 meters, or about 5.5 furlongs on the Fairgrounds turf course. My top selection, I'm going to go to the outside gate to the 8-horse Surveillance. 8-1-3-6 for me in the superfecta. 8-1-3-6 Super, top selection 8-horse Surveillance. 6-year-old Gellin by Constitution, Keith DeSormo trains. James Graham gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came the 21st January at the Fairgrounds, a mile 5.5 off turf in an overnight stakes race, or a listed stakes, and he won by a length. And coming from the back of the pack, he was a little bit wide, but he quickened up nicely. And he timed the race perfectly. A very, very good run. He's come back to turf for the first time in about 9 months or so. He should get a good trip here, and I think he could win. His turf races are few and far between, but his dirt races, he runs like a turf horse. Back to turf, I think he's going to be on the improve. 2 back in a black type stakes here at the Fairgrounds, 6 furlongs, 26th of December. He won by 2 lengths again, sitting back early. He quickened up nicely, a little bit wide late, but he got the job going away that day. A 102 Beyer career best, an all-around good race for him there. And then prior to that, in the Thanksgiving Given Classic here at the fairgrounds, 6 furlongs, 24th of November, winning by a half a length. He was a little bit wide, but he still got the job done. I wonder if his last three, nothing bad about that race. Most recent turf race came on the 28th of May at Churchill, 5.5 and optional 80, where he finished third by 3.5 lengths that day. A little bit wide, but again, he was closing up well late. Like I said, he runs on dirt like he runs on turf, like turf sprints. He really has that great turn of foot. Coming here today at 5-2, I'm going to use him. I think your second likeliest winner, there's a hair in my eye. I think your second likeliest winner here is the number 1 horse from the rail, the 1 horse who is Iced Chocolate. Raylu Gutierrez is on this one for Mark Cassie. Most recently in the Kennedy Road at Woodbine, 6 furlongs on the Tapeta back at the end of November. He finished second by 3/4 of a length that day. A little bit wide and just couldn't keep up there. Before then, the EP Taylor Lawn at Woodbine, 6 furlongs, optional 50. He won by 3/4 length, coming from mid-pack, a very good race. And then I thought he had an okay fourth in the New York, took over the 6 at Woodbine on the turf course. Coming here off the bench, it wouldn't surprise me if he gets a good trip and win. I'll use him on the late or the All Stakes Pick 5 ticket here. But to recount my selection for the 9th on the fairgrounds, it's the Colonel Power. Let's take the 8-horse Surveillance. Give kudos to the 1-horse Iced Chocolate. 8-1-3-6 Super. 8-1 in your multi-race. To the what race are we up to? To the 10th race now from the fairgrounds. The 10th race, it is the Mineshaft Stakes. It's going for a purse of $250,000. Races for 4-year-olds and upwards here. We have a field of, let's see, a field of 9 horses going 1,700 meters or mile 1/16 on the fairgrounds main track. I'm going to take here the 7-horse Pioneer of Medina as a top selection. 7-5-1-3 in the superfecta for me. 7-5-1-3 super. Top selection 7-horse Pioneer of Medina. 4-year-old colt by Pioneer of the Nile. Top Fletcher trains. Luis Saez gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came New Year's Eve at the fair at Gulfstream now. Mile 16th in the Grade 3 Harlan's Holiday, and he finished second by 2 lengths that day. He was with the pace setters early on. Skippy Longstocking closed up well to get the victory, but this horse, he didn't go down without a fight. I thought he ran his heart out, earning a 103 career best buyer. Refreshing to the fairgrounds, should get a good trip here today, and I think he can really run a good race. I think the long stretch is going to do him wonders. 2 back 17th of November at Churchill, mile 16th and opposite 125. He won by a half a length that day, and coming from the back of the pack, he drove off quickly, and he got the job done. A very, very good race with Lasix that day. And then prior to that, at the end of October, Keeneland, a mile and 1/8 and opposite 125. He finished 8th by 12.5 lengths. He had a horrible beginning. He was breaking 11:12, which wasn't even, great for him that day. So with a horrible beginning, he was way out of it, wide, and it just wasn't his day to win. And then before then, the Smarty Jones at Parks, mile 16th at the end of August. He finished 8th by 18 lengths. First start back since the Derby. He really needed the race on a very hot August day. He just wasn't really comfortable that day. Started here at the fairgrounds last year. Actually won an optional 50 here on 22nd of January last year. Came back to run an okay 4th in the Risen Star and an okay 3rd behind Epicenter in the Louisiana Derby. Ran a horrible race in the Kentucky Derby where he just never really had a good trip, never getting to the front end. But refreshing here again, 9-2. I think he's loaded. I think you also have to use the 5-horse Big Blue Line for Corey Lannery. Won an optional 50 here a few weeks ago by 3.5 lengths, earning a 97 by, really taking off clear. Before then, the slop at Churchill going 1-turn mile. He finished second by 6.5 lengths. Again, a little bit wide, but he was closing up well. I do think the long stretch should suit him well. His buyers, I think the buyers, he's fast enough to win against these horses. I'm going to use him here. Likes this track, training well. 8-1, a bit of an upsetter. Could blow up your pick 5 here. To recap my selection for the 10th from the fairgrounds, it's Mineshaft Stakes. Let's take the 7-horse Pioneer Medina. Give kudos to the 5-horse Big Blue Line. 7-5-1-3 Super. 7-5 in the All Stakes Pick 5. Back to the Stall Wilson Turf Course with the 11th event from the fairgrounds, which is the Fairground Stakes. It's a Grade 3 event going for a $150,000 purse, race for 4-year-olds and upwards. We have a field here of 8 horses going about 1,800 meters or about 1 mile and 1/8 on the turf course. Again, rails are out, 34 feet. My top selection, I'm going to go with the 4-horse Gentle Soul. Let's go 4-2-8-1 in the superfecta. 4-2-8-1 super. Top selection to 4-horse Gentle Soul. This 6-year-old gelding by Tapizar. Brett Colhoun trains this one. Raylu Gutierrez gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came the 21st of January at the Fairgrounds, mile 16th in the Colonel Bradley Stakes, and he won by a half a length. And coming from the back of the pack, stupid wide on the outside fence, but he quickened up nicely to get the job done, earning a 99 career best buyer. That was a very good race. Coming here, the extra furlong shouldn't be a problem. I think he wants to, I think he should get a good trip, and watch out for him. Two back in the DeBerto Memorial at the Fairgrounds on Boxing Day, mile 16th. He finished fourth by 8.5 lengths. From wide posture, he was with them early on, setting the pace, but then he just couldn't keep up. Back to turf on that weird turf course. He just couldn't keep up there. And then on the 26th of November at the Fairgrounds, sloppy seal going, a mile 70 off turf and optional 80. He won by 4 from a tracking position, even after not the best beginnings. He got the job done there first off, and nearly year refreshing. His prior race came 13th of January here at Fairgrounds in 2022. Mile 16th in law and optional 40. He won by 3.25 lengths, coming from nowhere that day. Even after not the best beginnings, he got the job done. Training well locally on the dirt. I'm going to give him a shot at 7-2. You can't throw out your final Arlington Million, or Mr. D Stakes winner, I guess. The 2-horse, 2 Emmys, was the winner of the Mr. D or the Arlington Million 2021 very nicely by neck. Came back after that in 2021 to win this place in the Sycamore at Keeneland, but his form last year, his big race was the Muniz Memorial, which he won by 2.5 lengths on the front end last year here, but he couldn't find that form after that. A disappointing 7th in the Elkhorn over the mile and a half after that. Came back to win a state bred stakes or an overnight stakes at the Hawthorne, and then last time out, I thought he had a decent second in the Colonel Bradley. Going back to longer distance, second off the bench, he can win a 3-1. Watch out for him. Definitely using your late pick 4. But to recount my selections now for the 11th on the Fairgrounds, it is the Fairground Stakes. Let's take the 4-horse Gentle Soul. Give kudos to the 2-horse 2 Emmys. 4-2, 8-1 Super. Let's go 4-2 in your multi-race. The co-featured 12th race now from the Fairgrounds. It is the Rachel Alexandra Stakes. It's a grade 2 event going for a $300,000 purse. Race for 3-year-old fillies here. 6 of them are going 1,700 meters or a mile 1/16th on the Fairgrounds main track. I'm going to take here the 5-horse Pretty Mischievous as a top selection. Let's go 5-6-4-2 in the superfecta. 5-6-4-2 super. Top selection to 5-horse Pretty Mischievous. This 3-year-old filly into the mischief. Brendan Walsh trains this one for Godolphin. Tyler Gaffleone gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came Boxing Day at the Fairgrounds. Mile 70 in the untappable stakes. There we go. The horse won by 3.25 lengths that day, and again from its tracking position, really took off clear, quickened up nicely in between horses, and she went away with it, earning an 80 buyer. Very good run. Coming back here off the the 7-week refreshing shouldn't be a problem. I think she could get a good trip, and I think she could win. These Fairgrounds Derby prep races, really, especially for the fillies, they're not bad races, and the horses really come running out of these races, so keep that in mind. 2 back in the Goldenrod at Churchill, mile 16th, 26th November. She finished 3rd by 5.25 lengths that day, a little bit wide, and she just was a little lackadaisical. Might have needed the race first time around 2 turns there. Then the end of October at Churchill on the slop, 7 furlongs, optional 100. She won by 3/4 of a length that day, or 1 3/4, a little bit wide, but she took off clear late. A very, very good race. Has been improving with every single race. Back around 2 turns, back to the Fairgrounds. At 9-2, I'm going to use her. The 6-horse Miracle wouldn't surprise me if she gets a good trip for Tom Pletcher and John Velazquez, the classic duo there. This 3-year-old filly by Mendelssohn bought this horse for $360 at the Keeneland, at the OBS March sale of 2022. But most recently ran in the Maiden Mist at Aqueduct 1 mile on the 30th of October, with the horse finished second by length, and was with them early on. Probably went too fast to that half that day, which cost me. He just couldn't keep up, but he ran his heart out there. Refreshing here around 2 turns, training well at the Winter Pletcher base at Palm Beach. I'm going to give this horse a chance, because I think with the pedigree, he should definitely get the 2 turns, and I think her price is nice here. And also the 4-horse Chop Chop, I think, is your second likeliest winner. Most recently in the Silver Bullet Day, she placed that day. Probably need the race first off the bench. And then the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, she just was stupidly wide, never getting into it. But, if she runs a race like the Alcibiades, she definitely could win this race. I'll use her here at 8-5 in the late pick 5. But to recount my selection for the 12th from the Fairgrounds, it's the Rachel Alexandra. Let's take the 5-horse Pretty Mischievous. Give kudos to the 6-horse Miracle and the 4-horse Chop Chop. 5-6-4-2 super. 5-6-4 in your multi-race. To the nightcap, the 13th race from the fairgrounds, it is the Risen Star Stakes. It's the Grade 2 event going for a $400,000 purse race for 3-year-olds here. We'll have a full field of 14 horses, full starting gate 14 horses, going 1,800 meters or a mile and eighth on the fairgrounds main track. I'm going to take the 5-horse Harrow Cap as a top selection. Let's go 5, 13, 4, 8 in the superfecta. 5, 13, 4, 8 super. Top selection 5-horse Harlow Cap, 3-year-old colt by Justify. Steve Asmussen trains. Joan Velasquez gets the mount. Horse's most recent outing came 22nd of January at Santa Anita. Mile 16th in main special weight 68,000, and the horse won by 4 1/4 lengths. Was sat on the front and all throughout. Good pace that day. He quickened up nicely, and he got the job done. A good, clear victory, earning an 85 buyer. Facing winners coming to the East Coast or Midwest for the first time shouldn't be a problem. I think the horse could really run a good race and win today. 2 back on the 2nd of January at Santino, 1 mile in main special weight 69,000. He finished second by 3/4 length and was with them early on after not the best beginnings. Had to be bumped a few times, checked a few times, a little bit of a trouble trip. He just couldn't keep up late. But again, I thought that was a good race for the experience. And then at the end of November on debut at Del Mar, 6.5 in the main special weight. He finished second by 6.5 lengths. Basically lost all chance at the beginning. He gained a little bit late, but he just wasn't keeping up after that horrible beginning. But he's been training well since the last race. Coming to the Midwest or East Coast, I'm going to give him a shot here at 8-1 on the ticket. The 13-horse Victory Formation for Brad Cox and Flavian Pratt is your second likeliest winner here, I think. Most recently on New Year's Day in the Smarty Jones at Oakland over the mile, he won by 3 lengths, and on the front and all throughout, he took off clear. I thought that was a very good victory. First start around 2 turns. And in November was his previous race at Churchill, 6 furlongs optional 100, winning by a neck. Again, from a stalking position, he slowly moved his way up, and he got the job done. Probably could have won by more, but it was still a very good race. And then on debut at 6.5 at Keeneland in main special weight, win by 4 3/4. Again, a very, very good race. Watch out for this horse here today. I think if he wins today, he's probably your early Derby favorite. This is the time of year where I think the Derby prep races really start to heat up. Everything before that now is, I think, all smoke and mirrors. But basically Risen Star. Everything after that, that's when the Derby kind of starts getting a little interesting, or the Derby Trail. But Victory Formation is going to have to overcome Y Posture, but I think he could have a good race here today. I definitely using that late pick 5. But to recap my selection for the 13th from the fairgrounds, it is the Risen Star Stakes. Let's take the 5-horse Harlow Cap. Give kudos to the 13-horse Victory Formation. 5, 13, 4, 8 Super. Let's go 5, 13 to end off the multi-race. So good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5. Good luck, everybody.